Another episode of the Douglas the Dean podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe.
But they have to go for
They
it.
have to go for it. It's up to you to get you where you want to be. If you want to be a champion, if you want to be a businesswoman, if you want to make money, see where the people are at that are doing it at that time. See what they do and switch it up to your own.
So this post is for my good soon-to-be friend, Ryback. Mr. Feed Me More. You're doing good work, buddy. I have a suggestion. This is just an idea that I thought about. And please, anyone, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Based upon my research, was very little. I don't think that there is a pro wrestling book that shows you how to survive the business. And I think that Ryback would be a very good person to pen such a book. Because to my knowledge, outside of Ric Flair and Sting, to my knowledge, as far as being successful, I mean, Hogan, to an extent, but he always seems to go in a hole somewhere, be it bad divorces or just whatever. But I know with Ric Flair, I heard him say on his podcast that he made a lot of money opening up, I think it was Gold's Gyms, based off a recommendation from Sting, because Sting was doing such, and both of them made really good money at that time. And we're talking about like the 90s, 80s when they started. I don't know when they franchised those gyms, but anyhow. And no, I'm not excluding people like Rock and Cena and things like that. We're talking about the people that aren't getting those big salaries over at the Connecticut Corporation. Anyhow, Ryback seems to be doing pretty well with his supplement brand. And I think, based off of his turmoil, and side note, I really don't understand when Ryback is doing his shows and doing Q&As and on Twitter. I don't understand where the hell all this hate comes from. It really feels as if someone's been paid, a group of people have been paid to just bug the ish out of him. I don't understand it. Out of any talent that I've seen on social media, he gets bothered the most, and I don't understand where it comes from. But anyhow, based on his short stay or whatever it was, time at WWE, the bad ish that went down over there, and how he survived it. And now, like he said on his podcast, on his shows, he really doesn't even need the wrestling business. And that's, a great thing. So now he's just motivated, by the fire to really, stick it to that corporation over there and, to realistically just do it for fun now, because there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him, but yeah, I would think it would be a cool concept to write a book. You don't really have to give out your financials, but just like a how-to. And it doesn't, just basically how you were successful with the supplement brand, some of the things that you did. And I was also thinking that, like each chapter could be a story from another wrestler that kind of raised the bar. So like, another chapter would be, maybe you, as if I'm speaking to him directly, interviewing Colt Cabana, because Colt Cabana has that reputation of being the guy that really put selling merch on the map within the industry. And you could, interview, and he's been interviewed a couple of times, but I mean like a real in-depth thing where it's in a book. Basically, you guys will be setting up a blueprint so that there's no excuses, for failure blueprint in the industry. Colt Cabana could give his, his take on the corporation if he wanted to, and just what made him go into the direction of doing merch and the success that he's had doing such. And then if he's having more success or equal success with the merch since signing with AEW. I saw the interview with CVV interviewing the owner of Pro Wrestling Tees. And I believe he said that the majority of the wrestlers, they do a 50-50 split or something like that. If it's not, it might be like a 80-20, but Pro Wrestling Tees, they're not, hurting. They're very profitable based on the interview. Anyhow, he can give his take, Ryback would give his take, and then if you went in a little different direction, and another chapter would be with Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. Especially, look, they both were fired, I believe, at different times and then rehired, because I did see old footage, and I didn't know that Brian was fired. I'm talking about prior to last year, because I saw him on old vlogs with Julian. Hold on. Barking dog. Sorry about that. Anyhow, on old vlogs with Julian from Impact. I'm forgetting his wrestler's name, his character name in Impact. Anyway, right now. So, Matt could give his story. And basically Brian could give his story as well, and how they built up their podcast, because they don't have, or their vlog, or however, actually it is a podcast as well. They built up their podcast, and their podcast is so, not wrestling per se. It's about the wrestling figures, and they have a lane that they've created, and it seems like it's becoming very profitable, because on his interview with CVV, he's saying that that's like his number one focus. He loves being an Impact, but, right now, like, this is my number one focus. Being an indie wrestler is cool, and being able to go to these other places, until when things open up. But podcasting, that sounds very similar to what Ryback said, which is, his supplement brand, the brand that he's building, Feed Me More Nutrition, it's doing well, so he technically doesn't even have to wrestle. So, with that being said, also, you can add Thea, I don't know her last name, formerly from WWE. Selena, is it? Selena, formerly Selena. Is it Selena? I might be wrong. Oh my gosh. Because she's been off television for so long. And her the 90-day window is just about done. But just the fact that her avenue, you can get her to discuss without releasing too much financials. If they don't want to, that's cool. If they do, whatever. With the money that she's making, her and Saraya, aka Paige, off of Twitch. Because with her being terminated, and not having to worry too much about her ribs touching, because she's doing pretty well. She built a nice little lane where she does cosplay, and I know that Saraya also plays with the subscribers. Probably sure. I just saw the video on YouTube. That's why I know that. I don't know if Thea does the same thing. She probably does, because I did see her on Twitch one time off of YouTube. She was playing with Saraya. I think they were playing like Mario Kart or something to that effect. But, the money that she's making in the whole book is just to set up a blueprint for future and present pro wrestlers that are going to come up into the industry, to realistically let them know WW whatever is not the end all and be all. And I do believe that such a book could be a real, it could be another hole in the boat for the Connecticut Corporation, if you know what I mean, because it just seems like, and I don't want to get too long-winded with this, it seems like a lot of the recognized talent that was on the indie scene, I get a feeling that that company, they like to wait until that talent is a little older and their bodies are beaten up, and it puts them in a position where they may really need that money, and knowing that the talent that's over at NXT, they don't really get a lot of money. And I knew that a lot of them were complaining about a contract extension that they were supposed to get, or a pay raise that they were supposed to get once NXT went on television. And last I heard, it never happened. But we hear a lot of complaints from talent that's over at NXT that go unnamed. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with cash. And now knowing that that corporation, they want the merch, or they're already getting the merch, and jerking them out of that. And then because they're not main roster, there's that clause now that it doesn't affect the main roster as far as them having their own channels on YouTube and things like that. But the main roster people, they're getting squeezed. We know this, so I'm not going to go back into that. But it sets up a lane for anyone that gets rejected. I saw an interview with Hammerstone, and the other guy's name escapes me. He's in the AEW now. And basically they're, having to deal with the rejection from WWE, 2-3 calls, waiting, having them wait, and all this other stuff. And them just going another direction, just saying F you. And we need more talent just to say F you. And just go into the other direction, because I really do feel that they are getting jerked heavily. I know I'm not alone in my thinking, but such a book which lays out a blueprint, that they can set up while you're on an indie scene, or before they, while they're just in training, before they can even just take off. Because, like, let's paint a picture. Let's see Cesaro, before Cesaro signs, right? Cesaro looks like Jason Statham, no doubt. So imagine a younger Cesaro, or just a Cesaro now just trying to get into that company or any company, and he builds, does something like what Ricky Starks did, or Guevara, builds a YouTube channel, does sketches and skits, basically spoofing, Jason Statham, that are really, really good, and he's able to build a brand off of that. And outside of that company, he can go to AEW and still keep that brand and still keep building, as we've seen their talents over there doing. But they're already, it's like the book is basically a blueprint that's showing them that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to start the tunnel now. Because we know the struggles of, the wear and tear that it takes on your body. And you don't want to, and I still don't even to this day know why, like when I see a Mercedes Martinez, discussing, 20 years and I've waited to get here and all this other stuff. It's like, I get it. But at the same time, I just have this funny feeling that we're going to see her in 3 to 5 years, and she's going to be frustrated. And she's going to be another talent that's frustrated at what's not happening, and she's going to be stuck in a contract unless she was wise enough to, already have her game plan because she was supposed to move. She did move up when she was part of the Mustafa Ali crew, and then she decided, whatever she did, she got out of it, and hopefully she's ahead of the game. It's like, you know what, I'm going to stick over here with NXT because it seems like there's a little bit more freedom and I can do more things. I don't want to get stuck with a mask on and be some sort of a gimmick. I'm going to wait for this contract. a la what Shiampa said, and I've said it before, and it's probably my third or fourth time mentioning it. He said, if I go up to main roster, I'm going to retire because he's not dealing with that BS. And I think that, he's backed over there and he's going to wait for his contract to expire and then he's going to bounce. And maybe she's ahead of the game. But at the same time, for those upstarts that are coming in, that don't have, parents that are in the industry, I think that a blueprint like that could really set them up, and then they can start turning down contracts and maybe start seeing, a little bit more bread on the table. So let's say you just had MSK that left Impact, formerly now known as MSK. And I don't know what leverage they had, but I mean, if you had these different streams, I mean, let's put it like this. Let's say MSK, they're about to go over, they get an offer. Hey man, we're going to pay you guys $3 million just to, mess with us here over NXT, right? But they're making, and I'm stretching this, okay, but they're making that amount of money or a little bit more just off these different streams of income that they were already tapped into because they got knowledge from these books or from that book. Now you have a little bargaining chip that they can come to the table with and go, you know what, oh God, God forbid if in that side of that book you start talking about contracts, and if anyone has their contract, and we getting real deep. Okay, anyhow, yeah, okay, then you're talking about a problem. I mean, I'm sure that they'll restructure the contracts, but it just gives people knowledge of the industry and what to prepare for. And I think someone like him, who's been seriously, Ryback I'm talking about, is seriously outspoken, comes out with something like that hits them hard. Ow. I mean, look, is it going to destroy that company? I doubt it. But it's going to cause a change in direction as to how they sign their talents. Once enough people start following the blueprint of this book to go, holy ish, and as time goes on, every few months, like what's it, Clubhouse now is the new big thing. So I would read the book, maybe start up on Instagram. I'm an indie talent and I build something and it's mine. And now there's a new app, Clubhouse, comes out and it's all about audio. So now I get up there and I start giving out, as an indie wrestler, audio tips and how to break into the game. And I'm able to build my platform there. And then by next year, 2022, probably by the end of this year, there will probably be yet another app that will have some other specificity and that someone can get on there and master it. So this is always ever changing. But just to have a blueprint which sets their minds and turns them on. And we're just, like I said, I'm just talking about the upstarts. I mean, look, I'm sure it will help anyone that gets, released from that company, or anyone that has freedom at Impact or New Japan or AEW or wherever else, Shimmer, wherever else, just will turn some lights on to go, oh, wow, you know what? After reading this book, this set the tone for, me to be able to do this, and the third. So I don't want to get too long-winded. I just wanted to share that. I think it would be an excellent idea. I think someone like Ryback, like I said, who's been basically keeping his foot on the old man's neck and is not letting up. And the old man's still trying to juke him, but he's just like, I weigh a little bit more and I have more muscle. I'm going to choke you tighter. You just keep dicking around. I think this would be a great way to really take some air out those tires. So on that note, I thank you for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other posts. Oh, also, look at the link at the bottom for my multiverse story. It's going to take you off of this spot and over to another spot because of the restrictions on this spot, and you can read between the lines and you know what I'm saying. So take a look at it. It's a Bray Wyatt storyline, and it's been up there for a while, so I don't want to hear no crap about, oh, this is what they're doing, because no, they're not. They're not as creative as I am. So on that note, I'm out, and I'll just say, feed me more.
What would you tell people trying to get into the business now, or that are in the PC? What would you tell them? I mean, because you have been fearless in your pursuit to be the best.
It's all up to them. It depends what they want.
But they have to go for
They
it.
have to go for it. It's up to you to get you where you want to be. If you want to be a champion, if you want to be a businesswoman, if you want to make money, see where the people are at that are doing it at that time. See what they do and switch it up to your own. You know, I talk to Vince McMahon. I talk to the best. I talk to Triple H. I see the John Cena's, the Rocks, the Batistas, the Roman Reigns, the Paul Heymans. I see them. I'm watching. I still put in the work the same way that I did when I was 10 years old. It hasn't changed because I want to be the best. And that's my goal. It all depends on what you want to be.
And you can take that and you can apply that to anything in life. It's not
Anything.
specific to this business.